Okay, we're on the laws of Lashon Harah, and we're on chapter 7, halacha 11, Zayin Yud Aleph, and we're discussing the rules of listening to Lashon Harah that we've said many times. Just like there's a prohibition to speak Lashon Harah, there's a prohibition to listen to Lashon Harah, to believe evil speech. And I'd say there's two levels. Now, you can hear something about Lashon Harah, and you can believe it. You can believe that evil thing. That's a negative prohibition. And then there's something else called being lochush, being worried for it, but you don't believe it. Like you hear somebody is a thief, so you don't believe in your heart that he's a thief, but you don't have to go into business with him in the same way. But you're still not allowed to damage him in any way or hurt him in any way. So we're talking about now certain exceptions of when you are allowed to believe Lashon Harah, meaning more than just being suspicious of what you heard to protect yourself, but you're actually allowed to believe it in your heart. And one of the cases we discussed was when you have Dvarim Nikarim, means you have external factors which seem to demonstrate that the story being told to you is true. And they have to be real, solid things, like the case of the Gemara discussed by King David, where somebody told him that Mephibosheth was not treating the king respectfully and was sort of rebelling against him, and the fact that Mephibosheth didn't honor him and didn't come out to greet him was indicative that that was in fact true. And the Chavetz Chaim warns us that we should be very careful, though, to not run and be lenient with this heter, because the Yetzer Hara likes to try to trick us to think things, especially Lashon Hara, is allowed when it's not. But if one is for sure certain that the Lashon Hara that he heard is true because of these external factors, these Dvarim Nikarim, then he is allowed to believe it. So let's continue. We're on Halacha Yud Aleph. V'dafka im heim nikar mamish. Now the time you're allowed to believe the Lashon Hara with the Dvarim Nikarim, with the external factors, is when they're real. They're obvious. Tahanu shehem megios le'inyan asipor v'gam ra'as ha'dvarim hanikarim ba'atzmo. They are directly relevant to the evil speech which was told to you, and also you saw them yourself. Avalim heim rechaykim mizeh. But if it's only something which is like suggestive that the speech was true or maybe circumstantial, and you didn't actually see it yourself, that doesn't help. So the only time where this leniency of davar hanikarim helps when you see these external factors is where you saw it yourself, and they're real obvious things which indicate that the story being told to you is true. But if it's just like little things, or you didn't see it yourself, then it doesn't work. Now he continues, halacha yud beis, v'da afilu dvarim hanikar mamish, even if they're real dvarim nikarim, einu mo'arak le'inyan shai dezeh yemuter lahamin ba'atzmos hadavar shemesafrim lo aval le'inyan leilach achakach l'saber davar zeh lacherim lo mahanit lo aleph de lo adif me'imra ba'atzmo davar g'nas achaver she'asa l'saper achar kach la'anashim u'kamo shemuvur la'el b'chal dalet sif gimel v'dalet. He says, now, even if you really saw these Dvarim Nikarim, these external factors which indicate that the story is true, that only helps to believe it yourself, but you're still not allowed to go and tell other people. It's the same if you see someone doing something wrong. You're not allowed to go tell other people. That is what they say, Spitz Lashon Hara. That is real Lashon Hara. Just as an aside here, something which comes up, the Chavetz Chaim writes in a place that, we just said that if you hear Lashon Hara about somebody, and you even have evidence that it's true, you're not allowed to go tell somebody else. You have Dvarim Nikarim, external factors. Now, what happens though, it could be a common case. You hear about somebody that he's a thief, right? So you're not allowed to believe it in your heart, but you don't have to go into business with him. Let's say you were going into a business partnership with John, and someone tells you that John commits fraud and he's very untrustworthy, and you have to be a fool to go into business with him. So you shouldn't believe what they said about John in your heart, but nevertheless, you don't have to go into business with him. You're allowed to be worried that maybe it's true and to protect yourself. Now, what if you're not going into business with John, but your friend is? So it isn't so clear that you're allowed to go and tell your friend. Chavetz Chaim, one place says tzarchiyun, he's not sure about it lahalacha, but what it seems to be, what should be done, let's say you hear about John that he's a thief, so it's not so clear you can tell your friend because maybe it's not true, right? You don't know if it's true, you heard this Lashon Hara. So it sounds like what a person should do in this situation is that he should investigate himself whether John is a thief, and then if he knows for sure that John is a thief, then he can tell his friend who was going to go into business with him for the purpose of Latoelas. He should go to him and say, I heard this about John, and I investigated and saw XYZ, and really you have to be sure that it's true. And you should tell him, I'm telling you this not to speak Lashon Hara, but for the purpose that you should protect yourself from business. And we'll learn later, there's 7 conditions of when you can speak Lashon Hara. We'll get into all those details later. And again, if you're in such a serious situation, it's always good to consult with a rabbi who knows these laws well. Okay. We said that this leniency of Dvarim Nikarim, where you are allowed to believe something, Lashon Hara, if you have these external factors, again, that's only to believe it, but you're not allowed to tell anyone else, and you're not allowed to cause any financial loss or any physical harm to the person that the Lashon Hara was spoken about. Now, the Chavetz Chaim is going to talk about a case which can come up. Now, sometimes this could even happen in court, rabbinical court. This topic comes up. Someone comes to rabbinical court and says, this was stolen from me. And he knows who stole it because of external factors, meaning he didn't actually see him steal it, but he has solid evidence from other things of who stole it. And the Bezdin themselves see these proofs. They see the Dvar Manikarm. Or the witnesses tell the Bezdin, tell the court, these Dvar Manikarm. They are allowed to go get the accused thief and to hit him until he admits. However, for an individual to do this, you think that someone stole something from you and you have some evidence, what you believe is evidence, you're not allowed to go and hit him to get him to admit. This is only something that a court can do, and only the court can only do it if they see it themselves or they have 2 witnesses. Even if one guy says to them, someone stole my thing and this is the proof XYZ, they're not allowed to go hit the thief until he admits. Halacha Yadalid umizeh Tira kama anashim toim b'inyanim elu. We see many people make a mistake in this area. She'im nignav lehem chayfet. Sometimes something will be stolen from them. V'yesh lehem al echad chshad, and they're suspicious that somebody stole it, of who it is. Sometimes the oimrim l'tovei she'yesh lehem al echad dvar manikarm. They will go themselves. They will go to the elders of the city, and even that they have these external evidence. And the court, they'll hit this person when they're not supposed to, so that he'll admit, and they're doing the wrong thing, the court. It can't just be that he's suspicious that that they stole it, and that he told them, this one guy told them that there are these Devar Nikarim. There actually have to be witnesses that saw the Devar Nikarim. Or the Bezdin themselves saw. So it's a very big sin the court does if they listen to him, right? If a guy comes to court and says, something was stolen from me, and I suspect it was John, and this is why I suspect it was John, and the court goes and starts hitting John until he admits that he stole it, that is a very, very big sin, and they violate the prohibition of hitting someone, right? A Bezdin is allowed to hit someone when it's demanded by Torah law, when they do something wrong. But if they're just listening to one guy, they're not allowed to hit somebody. Not only that they're not allowed to hit him, they're not even allowed to believe what this guy is saying. The heter of Dvar Manikarim in a Bezdin is only when the guy comes and says to them, and the Bezdin themselves see the evidence. They have to actually see the evidence. They can't just go on this guy's testimony, or they have to hear it from 2 witnesses. But just that the guy says something was stolen from me and XYZ is why I think it's this guy, they're not allowed to go and act upon that. Okay, so with that we finish Klal Zayin. Chapter 7, and God willing tomorrow we will begin chapter 8. Have a beautiful day.